They made me train my replacement 3 hours after my mother's funeral. That's how this starts. She passed on a Tuesday. Heart failure. Fast. Brutal. A woman who could still haul mulch and argue city code violations over dinner collapsed face first into a casserole dish. I took 2 days off. Just 2. Friday morning, I walked into the lab, still in black flats, my eyes raw from sleep I didn't get. And there she was. "Hi, I'm Aubrey," she chirped. "Director said you'd show me how things run. I'm your new shadow." 22, maybe 23. Looked like she still used Snapchat filters to pick her lipstick. She was sitting in my chair, smiling at my monitor like it had personally invited her to sit. I remember the coffee in my hand tasting like battery acid. I didn't speak, just blinked, turned, walked to the women's bathroom, locked the far stall, and dry heaved until I saw stars. But to understand that moment, we have to rewind. 2 months earlier, I'd submitted a proposal. A hybrid compression algorithm that could cut data latency by 40% with zero infrastructure overhaul. Proprietary logic. Elegant. I named it Halcyon. Built it myself. Nights, weekends, lunch breaks I didn't take. While still managing Jira backlog tickets for 3 teams and ghostwriting technical blogs for Reed, the so-called director of innovation, to parade at investor briefings like they were his. When I asked for a raise, just a raise, something fair to account for the IP, the workload, and the literal millions it could save, Reed laughed. Like full-body, lean-back laugh. "You should be thankful you're employed," he said. Thankful. That night, I went home, logged into my VPN, registered halcyonoptics.io, didn't sleep. Instead, I scrubbed every instance of the Halcyon prototype from our servers, wiped Git commits, renamed every local build, obfuscated the code until it looked like a CAPTCHA threw up. Then I filed the provisional patent, same weekend as my brother's wedding. Didn't go. Didn't RSVP. I spent 36 straight hours extracting every digital fingerprint from our internal infrastructure. Every log, every backup, every metadata reference. Like I was erasing my own DNA. And they didn't notice. Because Reed was too busy crafting his next deck for a seed fund summit, and HR was busy pretending that burnout was a mindset issue, not the consequence of making one engineer do the work of 5. Fast forward to Aubrey again. Of course she was nice. That's how they do it. Polite erasure always comes in approachable packaging. They don't replace you with someone cruel. They replace you with someone agreeable. Shiny, smiling, low cost. I didn't hate her. I hated what she represented. She asked good questions, wrote everything down. Reed passed by and clapped her on the back like she'd just unlocked cold fusion. Then he looked at me and said, "Knowledge transfer is the hallmark of a team player, huh?" I smiled, excused myself to the bathroom, again, and texted my lawyer. Greenlight it. We push the patent timeline. By the following Tuesday, Halcyon Optics LLC was officially incorporated. Delaware. Neutral branding. Modular licensing model already mocked up. Clean books, all under a different dev alias. The seed clients, already lined up. Data pipeline nerds I knew from a private Discord channel. None of them cared where I worked. Only that Halcyon worked better. And then came the twist. That Friday, Reed called an all hands. He stood in the break room like he was announcing a vaccine. "We're pivoting," he said. "We've just signed a contract with a third-party vendor to integrate their compression tech into our architecture." He called it a transformative leap in latency reduction. I watched the presentation from the back of the room, behind a plant. Slide 4? It showed a diagram I'd sketched on a Chipotle napkin in April. Slide 9? My UI layout. Colors, fonts, even the button spacing. Slide 14? The logo. Halcyon Optics. and he had no idea. Because the license had been sold through a shell company, Midstream Synthesis LLC, with a procurement front so generic even the legal team probably thought it sold printer toner. The contract was padded with non-disclosures, vendor chains, pass-through agreements. Reed signed it himself, $250,000 per year. Finance labeled it strategic spend. Legal waved it through. And Reed ended the meeting with that smug nod he practiced in the mirror, saying, "Welcome to the new era." I nodded back, smiled, walked out, and opened the email from my lawyer. Final patent filing complete. Registered under Aveline Marin. My full name, bold, top of the document. No aliases this time. Reed saw it the following Wednesday. I know because at exactly 3:17 p.m., I was rebooting our Jenkins instance when 3 Slack messages hit in rapid fire. 1. AVA, all caps. 2. Come to my office, now. 3. Screenshot. The patent filing with my name underlined in red. I finished the reboot, pushed the deployment, took a slow sip of water, then walked down the hallway like the air itself owed me something. His office door was open. He was pacing like a hyena in a suit someone else picked out for him. "You filed a patent?" he snapped. "On company time?" I sat, calm, legs crossed, zen. "No, Reed. I filed it on personal time, with personal equipment, using personal funds. But thank you for noticing." He blinked like I'd just spoken in Aramaic. "You used company resources," he hissed. "That IP belongs to us." I slid a folder across his desk. "Your own logs show no trace of the original algorithm. No commits, no merges. I've got notarized Git repos, timestamped backups, legal witness signatures. You want to take this to court?" He didn't answer. "Go ahead," I said. "But spoiler alert, you'll lose." He didn't touch the folder, just stared at it like it might explode. "This is sabotage," he muttered. "No," I said, leaning forward. "This is what happens when you tell the wrong engineer to be grateful for scraps." He tried to moralize. "You're profiting off the team's back. Aubrey's devastated." I raised an eyebrow. What upset her more? That I built it alone? Or that you were too distracted to notice? He didn't respond. Reed doesn't trade in truth. He trades in optics, and the optics were crumbling. That night, legal emailed me. Subject: clarification of ownership rights. I replied with a zip file, a 47-page declaration of independent development, invoices for all cloud services tied to my name. Line-by-line codebase with timestamps, all predating any company awareness of Halcyon. I CC'd the COO. By Friday, procurement was in freefall. I watched from my desk while 3 different managers whispered over printouts like they were decoding the Zodiac Killer. They finally realized. The license was locked, no refunds, no revokes. Every clause airtight, every dollar already wired. And then I made it worse. Monday morning, my shell company, Midstream, filed a press release. Halcyon Optics announces strategic partnerships with 3 new mid-market clients. Reed's exclusive solution, now available to his top 3 competitors, at a discount. Reed called again. This time, I let it ring. Then came the finance VP. He just happened to swing by my desk with that faux casual lean. HR scheduled a quick sync. Legal dropped a calendar invite with a subject so vague it felt like phishing. Check-in, company culture and compliance. I accepted. Cheerfully. The meeting room smelled like citrus panic and burnt toner. 3 chairs across from me, legal, HR, and a consultant named Marla flown in to align incentives. She wore a steel gray blazer and smiled like it hurt. "We've reviewed the timeline," she began, eyes flicking across her notes. "We were wondering if you'd be open to redefining the nature of the Halcyon Optics agreement." I nodded. "Sure." They exhaled. Wonderful. We're prepared to offer 5 million flat, I said. Buyout? 1 check. I walk. The silence could have cracked glass. Legal blinked like he'd been electrocuted. HR attempted the empathy voice. Ava, we're really hoping to avoid litigation. Oh, I'm helping you, I smiled. Because if I wanted to play hardball, I'd open source the compression module, vaporize your competitive edge, and make the license worthless by lunch. Marla gripped her pen like she might stab someone. Possibly me. I left the meeting and found Aubrey waiting outside. She looked like someone had just told her Santa Claus was a scam artist. You really built that whole thing yourself? She asked quietly. I shrugged. Hoodie on, cat on my lap at home. Classic villain origin. But why didn't you tell anyone? Would you have believed me? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. That night, I uploaded Halcyon v2.0 to the licensee portal. Improved runtime by 12%. Reduced server load by 18%. Added a hidden watermark system to trace pirated forks. Then I posted a job listing. Halcyon Optics is hiring. Remote first. No corporate BS. Must love clean code and revenge arcs. Applications flooded in. The trap was set. Reed, of course, made the classic mistake of a man with too much ego and not enough sense. He went to the board. Not officially. No memos. No slide decks. He slithered. He whispered. Tried to rebrand failure as innovation. He pitched Halcyon as a partnership he personally championed. Said I was brilliant but emotionally volatile. Claimed I lacked leadership temperament. The same man whose top leadership move last quarter was a Costco cheesecake labeled Good Job Devs. I found out because Angela, our Excel-wielding queen in finance, forwarded me an internal note. Subject, contingency planning. Marin exit. Bullet points. Risk scenarios. Pros/cons. My name dissected like a viral threat. Angela's message at the bottom. They're prepping your replacement again. New title. Director of Systems Innovation. Thought you'd want to know. I didn't reply. Not yet. Because I had other plans. That same week, Tommy, one of Reed's junior engineers, a kid who stress-sweated through his polos, accidentally pushed a corrupted dev build to staging, took down half the test environment. Instead of owning the failure, Reed threw him under the bus, in front of the whole team. Unforced error, he said. Some people just aren't built for scale. Tommy turned red, then gray, then just walked out. I followed him, found him in the parking garage, hands trembling over the steering wheel. You didn't crash the system, I said. He looked up, confused. How do you know? Because the module that failed wasn't yours. It was Halcyon v1.1, the version Reed forced into staging without QA. His jaw dropped. Wait, how do you... I built it, Tommy. He blinked. Holy shh. You want a job? He just stared. What kind of job? The kind where doing things right doesn't get you humiliated. That night, I onboarded him, gave him credentials, sent him a care package. Hoodie, noise-canceling headphones, a handwritten note. You're not broken. The system is. Let's build a new one. By Friday, I had 3 more defectors, each one poached with precision, each one forgotten by the same machine that had tried to erase me. Reed didn't notice the missing engineers. He was too busy trying to convince the board I was unstable, too busy managing optics while his empire quietly bled. That's when he pulled the final, desperate move. A surprise performance review. HR. Board liaison. Reed. I walked into the room smiling, calm, already knowing the endgame. sat down across from them like I was there to finalize a spa retreat. Before they could speak, I slid a USB stick across the table. Reed blinked. "What is this? Your resignation letter?" "Nope," I said. "Open it." He did. On screen, a document, formatted on company letterhead, complete with timestamps, presentation screenshots, and a full audit trail. It outlined Reed's false claims of involvement in Halcyon development, misallocation of R&D funds, breach of contract protocols, licensing spend authorized under conflict of interest. Every item cross-referenced. Every quote traceable. Every claim supported by archived data, his own. "You forged your role," I said plainly. HR gasped. The board liaison turned pale. "And you authorized a $250,000 contract," I continued, "without vetting the source or disclosing that you had zero actual involvement in its development." Reed's face lost all color. "This is blackmail," he snapped. "No, Reed," I said, leaning in. "This is a choice." I let the silence breathe, then offered it. "Take early retirement, call it burnout, save face, or I go public. Full audit, full exposure. Your call." The board liaison cleared her throat. "What's your timeline on disclosure?" 4 hours, I said, and that's me being generous. Reed didn't walk out of that room. He evaporated. When the internal newsletter announced his departure, it quoted him directly. "Some people just aren't built for scale." I framed the screenshot, hung it above my new desk, because I wasn't done. Not even close. 3 days after Reed's exit, I got flowers. Not from him, obviously. His departure had been so sudden, security had to retrieve his badge from a trash bin and walk him out while he screamed about intellectual tyranny. No, these were from the board. Orchids. White. Sterile. The kind someone Google searched under "Congratulations for not suing us." The card read, "Thank you for your continued innovation. Let's build something extraordinary together. Executive Leadership Team." I left them on the receptionist's desk without a word. Because by then, I already knew what was coming. When flattery doesn't work and control fails, corporate power tries the quiet route, the manipulation disguised as opportunity. Monday morning, the COO summoned me. "Vision sync," she called it. She wore a blazer the exact color of wet sidewalk and didn't blink enough to pass as human. "Ava," she began, sugar dripped over steel. "You've clearly proven yourself. We want to empower your brilliance." She smiled like a snake. "We're creating a new role, Executive Technologist at Large." I almost laughed. "At large? What am I, a fugitive raccoon?" I stared her down. "Let me guess. No team, no budget, no voting power, but just enough optics to make it look like I got promoted." She flinched, barely. "We want you focused on what you do best." "Funny," I said. "What I do best is build empires, not feed them." She tightened. "We assumed you'd welcome this opportunity." "Assumptions are expensive," I replied, "and I've built a company on people underestimating me." Then I stood and left. By Thursday, I had a new desk. Not in the office. That chapter was closed. I relocated to a co-working space downtown. Converted library, skylights, quiet, sunlit. No beige cubicles, no motivational posters, no teamwork makes the dream work vinyl peeling off glass walls. Halcyon wasn't just stable. It was blooming. 14 companies had licensed version 2. 2 VCs had reached out already. I turned them both down. I wasn't building a startup to chase buzzwords and burn rates. I was building a lever, and I planned to use it. Then Angela messaged me again. Confidential strategy doc. Label Q4. Talent. Optimization. She sent a screenshot. Bullet point underlined in red. Long-term reduction of license dependency. Reverse engineer compression module in-house. ETA 6 to 9 months. There it was. The plan. They weren't going to pay me. They were going to rebuild me. Reconstruct Halcyon from memory. Rename it and pretend I'd never existed. Cost savings, they'd call it. But what they didn't know was this. Version 2.1 was incomplete. Not broken, not faulty, just missing something. Something subtle. A set of dependency chains buried deep inside the runtime. Harmless at first. But at month 6, data packets begin corrupting. Latency spikes. Ghost errors appear. And then, one function triggers a trace. My signature. An encrypted, obfuscated string that would ping a remote server. Mine. Unauthorized reconstruction detected. License violation logged, because you don't build a cathedral and let termites steal the blueprints. That Friday, I uploaded version 3.0. Immutable, encrypted, self-healing, watermarked at runtime, already licensed to their top competitor. Then I hit send and waited. It took 42 days. The first fire was literal. Their Utah data center suffered a thermal cascade. Patch meant to stabilize packet flow bypassed my latency buffers. Result: memory stack overflow. Physical servers overheating like a microwave cooking a turkey. It made the news. Not front page, but enough to rattle their clients. I sat in my glass-walled library office, sipping jasmine tea, watching CNN run B-roll of smoke and confused engineers in hard hats. They didn't know it was software. Not yet. But inside? Oh, they knew. Angela texted in all caps. They're holding a war room, 'cause losing it. Legal thinks it's sabotage. It was. Just not the kind they were used to. I hadn't hacked anything, hadn't touched their systems, hadn't violated any contract. What I'd done was elegant. I designed degradation into their ecosystem, not to destroy it, but to reveal what they were doing. Week 2, more outages. Week 3, enterprise clients started bailing. Where did they go? To me. Halcyon V3. Faster, lighter, secure. With a team that actually answered emails. The company blamed a third-party flaw, then Amazon servers, then whispered about ransomware. They'd say anything, except the truth, that they had broken something they didn't understand because they never respected the woman who built it. Then came the desperation, an email from the CTO. Subject: Strategic realignment discussion. Translation: Please come back and save us from our own stupidity. I didn't answer. He followed up with a call. I let it ring. Then a LinkedIn message from Aubrey. Hey, Ava. I know things got messy, but they're talking about shutting down the whole division. A lot of good people are going to lose their jobs. People you trained. Just thought you should know. And I did know. I remembered all of them. The ones who stayed late, who fixed bugs at 2 a.m., who cried in conference rooms after being gaslit by directors who couldn't code a loop. They weren't the enemy. But they were still inside the burning building, so I opened a door. Posted this to Halcyon's internal portal. Former company name, employees get priority interviews. Your dignity is worth more than your NDA. In 72 hours, I got 31 applications. By the end of the week, 12 were onboarded. We weren't just a team anymore. We were a rebellion. And rebellions don't ask for permission. They build alternatives. Then they watch the old empire choke on its own arrogance. I hadn't even pulled the final lever. Not yet. Because they pulled it for me. The audit. I didn't send a threat. Didn't leak anything to the press. Didn't tweet or whisper or lift a finger. I just waited. Because corporate rot always surfaces when the money runs dry. And they were bleeding. Licensing revenue? Free fall. Clients? Defecting. Their half-baked in-house rebuild of Halcyon? Imploding like a flat-packed IKEA dresser in a thunderstorm. So the board panicked. They called for routine compliance checks. By week 2, forensic accountants were neck-deep in expense reports. By week 3, whispers started. Fraud. Duplicate contractor invoices. Consulting payments to a shell company. Guess who? Reed. Turns out, Reed hadn't really retired. He'd rebranded, started a company called Strata Layer Consulting, and billed them $27,000 a month for integration support on a system he never built. He was using credentials he wasn't supposed to have. Worse, the CTO had signed off on all of it, so now it wasn't just a PR issue, it was a federal issue. Angela messaged me. They're toast. DOJ might step in. They're begging outside firms to bid. Fire sale status. That night, I booked a suite in Manhattan. Told my assistant to arrange lunch with the senior partner at the firm managing the liquidation. We met at a rooftop restaurant. He was Old Wall Street, pinstripes and iced scotch at noon. I slid a proposal across the table, not to buy the company, to buy everything else. Their infrastructure, their client contracts, their pipeline integrations, not the rot, just the bones. He skimmed it, raised an eyebrow. You're lowballing. I'm curing an infection, I said. They should be paying me to take this off their hands. He chuckled. Honestly, you'll probably get it. He was right. 7 days later, the acquisition cleared. Halcyon Optics absorbed everything useful that remained of the company that once told me I should be thankful for a paycheck. They released a statement. In an effort to streamline and innovate, we're thrilled to announce a technology partnership with Halcyon Optics, Inc. No mention of the layoffs, the lawsuits, the scorched reputation, or the woman who had built the system they tried to erase. But I didn't need a mention. That morning, I stood in what used to be their executive conference room. Now, mine. The windows still had faint adhesive residue from a motivational vinyl. Success is a team sport. I sipped espresso, turned to face the room. 32 engineers stared back at me. 17 from the old company, 15 new hires. Pulled from everywhere else corporate arrogance forgot to look. I looked them in the eye and said, let's build something they can't take from us. And they smiled like they already knew. Because we already had. 6 months later, I was standing backstage at a tech conference in Berlin. Midnight blazer. No nerves, just a calm smirk and the hum of something bigger in the air. The screen pulsed with the Halcyon Optics logo. In the front row, wearing smug, borrowed suits and smiles they didn't earn, sat 2 executives from my former employer's newly restructured board. They didn't know what was coming. Not yet. I stepped onto the stage, polite applause, cameras, the usual tech press buzz. I leaned into the mic. Thank you. Today we're not just launching a release, we're announcing the death of gatekeeping. Cue the lights. Cue the demo. Halcyon v4.0. Real-time adaptive compression. Military-grade encryption. Self-healing architecture. No bloat, no fluff. No room for corporate parasites. And one more thing. Not for sale, not for license, not for theft. Open source? Not a chance. This wasn't a gift. It was a firewall with a heartbeat. The crowd erupted. Standing ovation. Flashbulbs. People were shouting questions over each other. I saw one of the board members lean in to whisper, "Can we still license this?" Spoiler: no. After the keynote, in a private lounge upstairs, a journalist from Tech Vault cornered me. Recorder already rolling. "Everyone's talking about your comeback," she said. "The patent war, the acquisition, the silent rebuild. Did you always know you'd win?" I laughed. Win? I wasn't trying to win. I was trying to survive. They just made the mistake of giving me a motive. She smiled. "And now? What motivates you?" I glanced at my phone. 30 unread emails. 2 acquisition offers. 1 calendar invite from the White House Office of Tech Strategy. I looked back at her. Now, I build things that can't be stolen, teams that don't burn out, futures that don't come with disclaimers. She paused. "And if they come for you again?" I leaned in. "They won't. But if they do, I already wrote that script." She blinked, like she'd just interviewed the villain in a Marvel post-credit scene. Maybe I was. Didn't matter. Because heroes don't survive corporate warfare. Architects do. And I had built the whole damn thing from ashes. That night, one last ping came in. "Aubrey." Just one message. No ask. No angle. "Thank you. You proved it's possible." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. It was never about proving it. It was about reminding them. And I slept easy. Because the company that once told me to be grateful for employment now licensed the future from a woman who doesn't ask anymore. She charges.